Welcome to a special monthly edition of Spirit Journey Collective, where we step away from interviews and dive deep into the collective energies of the upcoming month. For those who do not know, I am an intuitive tarot reader and spiritual channel. This episode will be focused on exploring the energies of the month ahead, such as themes, both good and challenging areas to be mindful of, as well as a channeled higher self message overall. As this is a collective reading, it is important to always remember to take what resonates and leave what doesn't. It is my belief that if you are tuning in today, it is because there is some form of guidance and wisdom waiting for you. But it doesn't mean the entire reading will resonate, although it may. My name is Sarah Tye, and I am your host, reader, and channeler for the upcoming reading ahead. And without further ado, let's dive in.
Hey everyone, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Spirit Journey Collective. This is the monthly reading for June, and I know I haven't done a monthly reading in a while. It's just been a lot going on in my life, but I finally have some really good ideas and clarity, and I'm excited to bring to all of you what I've been working on. So for the month of June, I'm going to do my typical monthly collective spread, which is going over a theme, what's working for us, what's a challenge area for us, and then higher self message as a whole. But for the month of June, I am going to be releasing content on Instagram as well as my Spirit Collective Journey group I have on Facebook. You'll probably find a little more content there than Instagram, but I am going to be releasing a whole theme for the month of June around reclaiming your voice. And so there will be meditations, journal prompts, check-ins, even a potential workshop. So I'm really, really excited for that. But for the entire energy around this, it's going to be around reclaiming your voice. So if you are tuning in and that's something that you've been working on, or even something that you haven't even considered could be something you need to work on, thank you for being here. So I did pull an anchor card just to kind of set the theme, which is the Page of Swords, And so I picked this card specifically because the way that I read it, it's all about learning that your voice matters. It's about learning to advocate for yourself, learning your opinions, your experiences, and your voice as a whole matters. A lot of the times when the Page of Swords comes up, we've learned to silence ourselves either out of preservation or maybe we just don't think it matters compared to other people who really believe their voice matters. And this card is all about learning that your voice matters just as much as anyone else's, and that your experience, even if someone else might know more, your experience is still yours. And so I love the Page of Voices or the Page of Swords because it is all about reclaiming your voice, and it is all about learning how to use it and to advocate for yourself. And that's a lot of what's going to be coming through for June. So that is the anchor card I pulled and I picked specifically. And then the other four, which is going to be a theme, past, present, future energies, were the ones that I pulled and did that randomly. And I actually really love what comes up. But as always, spirit just blows me away every time anyway. So we're going to go ahead and start with the theme. If you are hearing some ambient noises, it's just because I changed my venue a little bit. Instead of doing the recording in my room with a backdrop, I decided to use a real life backdrop, which is my backyard. So starting with the theme, I pulled the Star. And I really love this for the theme because really before we can grow or evolve, we have to heal. Like that has to be part of the process. You can't just let go of limiting beliefs or narratives without also healing. Like they go hand in hand. And so the Star is deep healing. It usually goes back to childhood. It doesn't always, but most often this is like big wounds, goes all the way back to childhood that we have not wanted to deal with. It has been too big for us, too scary, too whatever. And so we sweep it under the rug and just pretend it doesn't exist. Now, a couple of things. One, for those of you who are listening, you might be saying, well, I had a pretty good childhood. I don't have any trauma as far as I know. And that could be true. But I like to say there's different kinds of trauma. There's big T trauma, which is like abuse, assault, etc. Or there is little T trauma, which is just when you're little, you didn't get your needs met in a certain moment. So maybe your parent or guardian was being a little out of touch that day, a little bit snappy or whatever. But in that moment, you felt like you didn't get heard. And so that can come in many, many different forms. So the the star is all about healing big wounds from childhood. And not only that, but the star is also letting you know that you're ready to go back there. So if there is something big and scary that you haven't wanted to touch and you've been afraid that you're not ready, the star being here in your theme is saying, yes, you are ready. So what in your past specifically affected your ability to be in touch with your voice and to use your voice and to advocate for yourself? What happened? And maybe it was several things. It doesn't have to be one big event. It could be several events compiled. But the first invitation that we have for a collective reading with reclaiming your voice is to go back and find out, to go back and be curious, and to kind of figure out what started this idea that your voice really doesn't matter, or it's not safe to use your voice. Where did that start?
Not everyone wants to talk about their situation or life questions out loud, and that's okay. That's why my email tarot readings are a perfect fit for the inward seekers, the ones who feel deeply, process everything, and don't always have the words or the energy for a live session. Here's how it works. You send your question, I tune in, pull cards, and record a 17 to 25 minute voice message, channeling what comes through around your question and situation. You'll also receive a photo of the cards pulled, all delivered to your inbox within 24 hours. My intention is always to honor your journey with sincerity and heart-aligned guidance. If this feels like the kind of support you've been craving, let's connect. You can find me at the link below or at www.spiritjourneycollective.com.
So the card that I pulled for what's working for us for the month of June, that's going to help you and aid you in your journey of reclaiming your voice, is the Five of Swords reversed. And I really like that this one came up because it does speak to the fact that sometimes we could be going through something, or sometimes healing or doing something as big as reclaiming your voice could feel impossible. It could feel like things are way too messed up to move forward, to put things back together. It's just not possible. And that's just belief, though. So the thing about the sword suit is that it's all about communication. It's about the mind. It's about the narratives and the lens that we're looking through. And so with the Five of Swords, this one comes up basically saying that right now you feel like things are messed up. You feel like things, especially when it comes to reclaiming your voice, using your voice, it feels like someone took that ability for you and smashed it into a million pieces. And you're looking at it like, oh my gosh, there's no way I can put this back together. It's shattered. However, there's nothing that's so broken it can't be put back together again. So I like to use the analogy of it's a Japanese cultural thing. I need to learn the name of it so I can say it correctly, but where they take pottery, broken pottery, and they put it back together using gold, which basically makes it perfect again in an imperfect way. And so the reason, and so you might be wondering, well, how is this working for us? Because it doesn't sound very uplifting right now, right? So the reason this is working for us, it is reversed, which speaks to awareness. So that tells me that you're on this journey and you're curious about it, you're open to it, you're going to see what comes of it. Or maybe you're already on the journey and it's been kind of turbulent. So on one hand, your mind and the story you're telling yourself is that things are too messed up. On the other hand, your mind also knows better. And so you're not fully buying into that idea. You're actually pushing back and saying, no, I will overcome this. And the thing about the Five of Swords, even though it sounds kind of grim with the way I'm describing it, the invitation is that you will overcome this. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. You will get there. You will overcome this, but you have to change your mindset around what is telling you that you can't. That is the biggest difference, is what is holding you back from really believing that you can use your voice, that it is possible. Where is that belief system that says it's too broken to fix? That's where you start, because it's not too broken. You will overcome this. You just have to change your perspective. And so with that being and what's working for us, it's basically saying higher self, saying yes, the part of you that knows better, that knows that you can overcome this, that nothing is unfixable, nothing is too broken. That's the voice you need to listen to. And with it being reversed, I do believe that most likely you're fighting that idea that it's too broken. You know better. And so you might still kind of dive into it and get stuck in that negative limiting beliefs, but then you pull yourself out. And higher self is really just saying continue to do that fight because it's not true. that you're stuck and it's all broken, you will overcome this if you keep persevering and you change your perspective to the point where you know it is possible. You will get through it. So, fittingly, what's working as a challenge area on this journey for the month of June, we have the Ace of Swords reversed. Now, again, I like the fact that it's reversed because that does speak to awareness, but it's basically saying that our biggest challenge is our mind, which is the flip side of what I was just speaking to. So the positive is that if you use your mind to know that you can do it, affirmations, you are strong enough, you are brave enough, you can do it. Staying focused on that is where you need to be, because when you focus on it's too broken, I can't do it, letting the limiting beliefs win, that's when you're going to find yourself more believing that your broken vase is too broken to fix versus knowing that you will overcome it, you will get better, you will put it back together, it will be okay. And so the Ace of Swords, it loves to teach us that our mind is our greatest ally or our greatest enemy, and it really depends on how we utilize it. Our ego, our mind likes to keep us safe. That's its job, right? And sometimes it does it in a way that's not healthy. It keeps us doing things that are, that causes us to play small, that causes us to lean into habits and bad behaviors that, isn't helping or serving us at all, but it feels good and it's comfortable and familiar. The mind likes to stay in the familiar. And so when we're used to hearing negative thought traits, when we're used to narratives and beliefs that we've probably heard our whole life, both from the outside world and from our own internal world, then at that point, it's easy to believe them. And it's almost more comfortable to believe them because they've been with us practically our whole lives. So the invitation, though, is to be really mindful of your thoughts. And if you find yourself believing that you can't use your voice doesn't matter, and really believing those lies, that's when you're letting the negative thought train kind of spiral. But the biggest invitation here is that you actually have the power to shift your thoughts. You get to decide what kind of thoughts you're going to have. I mean, at first, you just need to start observing. Like, that's really the first step. It's just non-judgment. Watch what your mind does. Where do your thoughts go? Like, that's the first step. Once you kind of see the pattern, that's when you have the power to shift. That's when you have the power to see that runaway thought train and say, nope, we're going to turn this train right back around. I do know my voice matters. I do know my opinions and experiences matter, and I should be allowed to speak them out loud. And nothing is ever so broken that it can't be put back together. So I feel like it's so funny because the challenged area and the area that's working for us are really just like two sides of the same coin. And it's just remembering that we actually have the power to decide where we put our thoughts. And I feel like that's really the biggest thing that's coming through as far as like as we proceed on this journey for the month of June and we work through reclaiming our voice, a lot of it's going to be mind work up here. So the higher self message as a whole is the King of Cups. And I really love this for a couple of reasons. So the King of Cups is a very mature guide, and he's often able to help guide other people through their more difficult times. And not only that, but people tend to be really comfortable talking to this person. But the thing is, in order for this person to really show up in that capacity, they have to first take care of themselves first. There has to be an element of self-care. But then once they're taken care of and they have the and their needs are met to the point where now they can show up for others. And I like to compare that to a cup. If your emotions were like a cup of water, you want your cup to be overflowing so that way you're taken care of. So what you're giving, you have that freely to give. You're not taking from your own reserves. With the King of Cups being the higher self message, I feel like it's letting you, every single person, know that your voice is important, that what you're meant to share and put out in this world is going to help guide someone else. Whether you choose to be on a podcast or you choose to be a speaker, or even if you don't, your voice every single day has a purpose. And your story, through reclaiming your voice, through your expertise, which we all have a bit of expertise on something, your voice is going to make a difference and it's going to matter. And I really feel like that's what the King of Cups is speaking to. Like when you learn to open up the floodgates of your throat chakra, of your voice, you're going to realize the impact that you can make. But the caveat is that you do have to take care of yourself first. And so I feel like the journey of learning how to reclaim your voice is essentially also learning how to reclaim yourself and choose you. And that is a big part of the King of Cups, is also learning, hey, I need to do some self-care. I need to take care of me first. So I feel like this is the season of you, of finding yourself, of finding your worth. And then you'll get to the other side as you do this journey, where you'll realize not only do you have a story, and not only do you have a voice and experiences that you can pass on to others in whatever format it's going to be, that you also can choose yourself and your self-care at the same time. And that is my neighborhood dog. So I don't know if this is getting her in the recording or not, but I'm going to go ahead and close out the reading here. As a whole, I do feel like a lot of it is healing. A lot of it is mental work and learning how to see past the lies that we're telling ourselves, and knowing that at the end of this, we're going to find a piece of ourselves, not only that we didn't know we had, but you're going to realize that you can share and make an impact with the world just by using your voice. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you for joining me on another inspiring episode. Remember, your purpose is a unique and unfolding path. I hope these conversations have ignited a spark within you. Until next time, keep exploring, growing, and embracing the beautiful adventure of connecting with your purpose. Stay tuned for more meaningful conversations. If you're wanting more, consider joining our free Facebook community called Spirit Journey Collective, your haven for spiritual exploration and personal growth. Dive into a supportive community where sharing spiritual experiences is encouraged. Unlock the power of intuition, embark on a journey of self-discovery, and connect with like-minded souls. If this sounds like a community you'd love to plug into, the link is in the show notes below. If you enjoyed the episode today, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for joining me on this journey.